Monster Hunter World is one of the best games of 2018, but the multiplayer experience has been a little janky at launch. To get you up and rolling with friends a little faster, Hayden and I have put together this guide for how we've been getting into each other's missions and expeditions. That's not to say the game gets any easier, and friends can often do more harm than good. What? Are you serious? But in my opinion, it's totally worth it, and this is definitely the way the game should be played. So my friend Hayden and I just got Monster Hunter World. We're trying to hop on and play a game together, and it can be a little complicated. So we're going to run through all the options that people have to play with their friends, the best ones, the worst ones, just everything from ground up. Step one, you've got to get in the same session. So a session is kind of like a lobby. It's the first step for joining people in their missions, their assigned ones, their investigations, all that stuff.
So you're going to hit the options button, go over to communication, and then you'll see invite a friend on that list. And you'll notice that Monster Hunter actually puts at the bottom of the screen, invited friends will show up in Astera. Meaning, they'll show up in your session, not in your game. The point is, this option does appear on a hunt, but it's a little bit misleading because when you do this and somebody responds, they're going to show up in Astera, not on the hunt with you. So this is like just a preliminary invite a friend to your session, not into the game world with you.
Right, which is...
Just to be super clear.
Just the lobby, and you won't actually see anybody walking around. So we'll wait till Hayden drops in, and then I'll explain that. There it is. So Hayden has joined the online session. As you can see, we don't see a hilarious little Hayden running around. I usually think it's this guy. It's not. He's hot-blooded fourth. But if we go... Oh my god, now I'm talking to hot-blooded fourth. If we go into the player list... He's in here. That means he's in the session. As a note, that is where you find your session ID as well, and anybody can join via that, but it's super annoying. Look at that. It's like 10, 12 characters. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
While he's in the session, I don't actually see him in my zone of Astera. The only way to join together is to enter into the gathering hub on the 4th floor. You both have to do that. There's no... you just have to both tell each other, let's go to the gathering hub, and then you'll see each other.
You can drink beer together and have food together.
We can drink beer together and have food together at the gathering hub.
Not join a mission together, though.
Nope, doesn't work that way. Stop that. Can't go out on those expeditions. That's ridiculous.
Anyway, this is the gathering hub. So there's this bar over here is just another quest counter. So it offers the same things over here on the right as you would get in the quest board down in the trade yard or any other areas of the quest board.
You can get to everything you normally can get to your room. Provisioning is over here on the side. This lady will help you with your squads, which we'll get to in a little bit.
I was going to say, you can also depart on an expedition, but as Hunter and I both discovered, just because you can depart from an expedition and you're both on the same screen does not mean you're both going to go out on the expedition. We'll get into that more later, but don't be fooled. You cannot just roll out into the world together there. You'll get put into different...
Is a lie. But yeah, so the first step once you're in a session together is to remember that you're not actually playing the game yet. We're just kind of hanging out, buying drinks, and ordering out food. Once you're done that, you want to go to the quest counter. You don't have to be in the gathering hub to do this as long as you're in the same session. Once you're in the quest counter, you can post a new quest, such as your assigned story mission quests, optional quests, investigations. And once you do that, your other friends in your session can then join a quest via the Join a Quest board. Now, as a note, the assigned story mission quests often involve little cutscenes at the beginning or in the middle. If those are involved, it'll say that you can't join the leader's quest until they finish watching cutscene. The quest will let you know as you're running through it that once you're available to invite friends to your quest, it's the moment where it'll pop up on screen saying you can now fire an SOS flare. You don't have to fire an SOS flare. In fact, if you've already posted the quest as an assigned mission that people should join, they should just be able to join at that point. But if I go to join a quest right now that Hayden is posting one, available quests, optional, there it is. Butting heads with nature, we can see it's 1 out of 4 people. Now, in theory, anybody in your session can join this, which is why it helps to have a session with only your friends, which is where squads come in. Now, if you're not currently in a squad with your friend, it does make it a lot easier, and you get to skip a few of the steps we were talking about earlier, such as inviting them from your player friend list and everything else. Plus, you can get squads involving players that you've just played with before. They don't have to be on your PSN friends list. Squads are never going to be like an MMO where you hop in and you see all your friends running around. While you will get put into a session as soon as you log into the game, it's not necessarily a session with your squad or your friends, or a session with people at all. It could be an offline session where it's just you, lonely by yourself. To create a squad, you have to create a session, like we're doing now, and then go into squads, which you hopefully have created by talking to this lady. She'll allow you to create a squad. You can change the emblem, which only shows up in the squad information and then briefly in this gathering hub. You can manage squads, but really that's always in the inventory as well. What are you whipping at me?
Ninja stars.
Ninja star. So if you're in the same session, you can invite to squad anybody that's in the session. Unfortunately, you can't invite anybody outside of the session into your squad. So the initial playthrough, you still have to invite somebody from your friends list, or just have it be somebody you randomly encountered in the game through a matchmaking session of some other kind. So once you've invited friends into a squad, it does open up another option for you in terms of getting into the same session. Squad Session Search will pull together anybody from your squads into a single session. If there's nobody out there online currently in your squad session, you'll just create a new one, and then when they come online, if they choose that same option, they'll join into yours. The downside is everybody has to select Squad Session Search. If they don't, they'll end up in a different squad or a different session altogether.
Yeah, I think essentially the confusing part about the word squad and the way it was presented by Capcom is that it sounds like guild or link shell or group of friends that will easily be able to do things with one another. And it sort of is, but essentially it's just a private online session. It offers no other real benefit beyond that. It doesn't help you filter. It just allows you to quickly join in with just the people you've invited to the squad. So it does serve a purpose, but it's not as extensive as you might expect from something like a guild in an MMO.
You still have to get into that same session together, which is the hardest part. As a note, because we haven't mentioned it yet until this point, you can join sessions by the session ID. The quickest way to find your session ID is definitely to look at your player list. But you can also see it when you're trying to create a new session if you think you're in the wrong one.
I think the key takeaways from this video for any new player are: join up with your friends initially through an invite or a session ID. Should be familiar with the session ID if you played the beta, or just look at your player list through the menu and get it. Second thing, squads. Try to pull as many friends as you can into your squad, get them into your session through the things we just mentioned, then send them a squad invite. Then they can join as much as they want whenever they log on and go to the quest board. And with that much, you're pretty much lined up with your friends. So invites and squads. Pretty much the key things in this game.
They can join as much as they'd like. We should talk a little bit about expeditions, one of the most fun ways to play with friends, and why it's so friggin' hard. There's an option called the SOS flare, and at first it seems like it should offer you the opportunity to play with your friends. You go out into the wilds, do an expedition, and then you fire up an SOS flare that says you're asking for help. Unfortunately, this ignores all rules of sessions and goes out to every player that exists in Monster Hunter World. While we have seen a couple times that if you go and look for available SOS flares in expeditions, you can sometimes see your friends on that list and join them that way. But it's not consistent, and while you're trying to do that, other people could, in theory, join in whether you wanted them to or not. Alright, so if I go into join a quest, respond to SOS, search for SOS flares, the expeditions. In theory, my dear Hayden should be one of these. He's not. We go back in. We keep searching. There he is. Round 2. And sometimes they can take up to 5 or 6 tries, but in theory, it's possible to get it in the first one. The other option is to finish an assigned mission, optional or investigation, and then at the end of that, it'll give you the option to return to camp. If both players or all the players that are in your game choose to return to camp, you can start an expedition after that, after having completed the mission, which is kind of roundabout, but it's currently the only 2 ways to find somebody in an expedition that we know of.
Despite the fact that under info, play guide, view tutorials, multiplayer, the first sentence reads, in multiplayer, you can enjoy quests and expeditions in a team of up to 4 players, formed from the maximum 16 players present in your online session. Despite all this, this is not a reason not to pick up Monster Hunter World.
Oh, definitely. No, the game has been a ton of fun, and we've definitely worked all this out because it's so much fun we can't help ourselves but try and figure it out.
I mean, if you approach the game as an individual player and you're not really looking to play with or target friends, the system is very flexible. You can search by the type of monster kill you need, the type of part you need, whether they're beginner, advanced, etc. I mean, the filters are great for getting dialed into the quests that are ongoing that you can join for the parts you might need for a weapon upgrade or armor upgrade. But if your goal is just to play with your friends, you're going to have to do a little bit of put through some aches and pains.
So for any of you trying to get into games with friends, I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments how you guys have been grouping up, whether through squads or just friends list invites, and what you've been thinking of Monster Hunter so far. Coming out for some more Monster Hunter action on Twitch, Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and look me up in game if you want to group up and take down some baddies. I'll see you guys in the new world, and have a good one. Peace. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, you should totally think about subscribing. I've got videos coming out twice a week, and if you like this one, there's at least a chance you like some of the others that are very similar to this, so live dangerously. Let me know what you guys thought about the video in the comments and other videos you'd like to see. And finally, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Huntin for Games to keep up with all the latest stuff. See ya.